Hey family, this is Deborah, and I'm about to go deep on this video right here. What I'm about to talk about will resonate with many of you, okay? I'm going to be talking about my biological father, okay? And the reason why I say I'm going to go deep on this one is because I have some very significant things that I want to talk about, and it's going to resonate with many of you who have shared experiences. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, March 28th, as a matter of fact, I did a video. I went to our land. Whenever I go to the land, I reflect. And so I began talking. I never uploaded the video, in which maybe I will at some point. But I was talking about a young man who, in his adult years, he found his biological father. And he approached him, and he says, I think you're my father. And the man looked at him and said, I don't have any children. And he said that that was a very low point for him, a very low point, because he knew it was his father. And instead of internalizing that, he decided he was going to do something positive. He was going to change that or turn that into a positive experience. And so he went on from there. Instead of sulking down in misery from the rejection, he decided, you know what, I'm going to move on from here, and I'm going to become something. I'm going to use this as a positive in my life. I'm going to use this to cause me to move forward. Okay? I'm going to redirect my energy. Instead of focusing on this man who is not going to claim me, regardless of what I say, I'm going to redirect, okay? That was his story, but it made me kind of reflect on my own story with my own dad. Now let me just real quickly share my experience. I didn't have a relationship with my father, okay? Many of you didn't have a relationship with your father, okay? And I didn't have one with mine. And for a long time in my life, that affected me when I was younger, right? But I remember when I traveled to St. Louis, where he lived, with some of my other siblings and my other family. I remember seeing him for the first time since I was like maybe 4 years old. And at this time I was 19. Okay, so from 14 to 19, no dealings with him. No dealings. Okay? I'm not going to say anything bad about my father. I'm just going to go right into the story. I don't want to bore you too long with my story, but I'm going to share some of it with you, okay, so that you can understand where I am right now. So this is not going to, hopefully it won't be a 30-minute video, okay? So I need to talk faster, right? Anyway, my experience with this man, on March 28th, I did this video. I was reflecting on the relationship that we did not have. And I was also reflecting on the fact that there were things that this man did in his life that that are not good, okay? Not good. Not good at all, okay? And I remember when I saw him after all these years and remembered all the years that I cried wanting to have my father in my life and wondering why he rejected me. He accepted my sister, my older sister, but he rejected me. And so I felt like one of those throwaway children that the father just didn't want. That's what I felt for a long time. I felt like, man, you know, what is it about me that this man rejected me, right? But when I finally met him, and he came up to me in the bus station after all these years when I was 19, and he walked right over to me, right? We didn't have a relationship, but I went to go see him at age 19. And I said, how did you know it was me? It was me. How did you know I'm your daughter? He says, you look just like me. I knew it was you. I knew you were my daughter. I said, okay, you know. And so we went on to his place, and I met my siblings, some of my other siblings. I met my stepmother. And, you know, we just kind of, you know, did our thing during that time, right? And even that experience wasn't that great, and I'm not going to get into all the details. But even after that, I went home, back to Michigan, and from there we still didn't have a blossoming relationship. We just didn't. And I remember the Most High speaking to me, telling me that spiritually my father was a child. Spiritually he was a child. When I heard those words, the feeling of rejection that I had for so long just kind of disappeared. It just kind of disappeared because I saw him in a different light, especially after one of my younger brothers died. When he was, I think, on his 18th birthday, when he died and we went to the funeral, I realized then, when I saw his response, I said that my dad is spiritually a child. And my whole perspective changed, okay? After that, my whole perspective changed. But then, as years went on, and it was time for me to get married, still trying to have that relationship with him, even though I had a stepfather who had been there since we were children. Not that that relationship was the best, but he was there. He bought us a house to live in. We ate and we had shelter and clothes. But I still wanted to give my biological father, the honor of giving me away at my wedding. And so I called him up and I said to him, I said, Dad, I'm about to get married. And before I could really finish my sentence, he cut me off in the middle and said, I don't have nothing to give. And I said, well, I wasn't calling to ask you for anything. I was just calling so that you could possibly give me away on my wedding day. And he said, well, I don't know if I'll be able to make it. I said, okay, no problem. And I didn't sulk about that either. I just said, okay, no problem. And then I proceeded to ask my stepfather, who graciously gave me away. Okay, I said all that to say this, okay, that there was no relationship with my father. And so after I did that video in March of this year, my younger sister from St. Louis, she called to inform me that my dad was sick, okay? And so I said, I already knew he was sick, but I didn't know the extent of his sickness, right? She just, I guess, called to give me an update, right? And so I pondered, and some time went by. I would say a couple of weeks went by. And I said, you know what, I told my husband, I said, I think I'm going to call my dad. And so I got the number from my little sister because I didn't have his number. We didn't have a relationship. And so I proceeded to call him. After all this time, after she gave me the number. And we talked for almost an hour. And we had a very, very deep conversation. And in the conversation, I'm just going to share some of the things that we talked about. In the conversation, I told my father, I said, I want you to know that I love you and that all the things, the lack of relationship, all of that's in the past. I said, I want you to get better. I want to tell you that I honor you. I did say this. I said, because when I had a chance to think in my mind of my existence, I said it was your union with my mother that got me here. It was this particular union that got me here. Because of your union with my mother, my children are here. It was your specific DNA and my mother that have me here. And I said, for that, because you are my father, you are the reason why I'm here. For that, I honor you and I love you. And he said, I never thought I would hear those words. He says, I know you may not believe me, but I love you too. I said, if you say it, I believe it. If you say you love me, I believe you. And then from there, we continued to talk about many things. And he said these words to me. He says, you are a very brilliant young woman. And I said, how would you know that? You don't know me. We don't know each other. He says, Tamiko, I've always known. I've always known. That's my biological name. He said, I've always known. And I said, wow, thank you. I said, to Yah be the glory. I began to witness to him after that, telling him of our culture. And I also gave him the truth. I explained to him, I said, what you're going through right now, the sickness that you're going through, I said, I want you to understand that you are reaping what you have sown in your life. I'm not going to get into the details of the many things that this man has done in his life. That's nobody's business. But I explained to him, I said that there is a process of reaping and sowing, and that is what you are going through right now. I said, but in all of that, I said, I believe that the Most High is able to heal you. I believe this. And I explained, I shared some stories about what the Most High has done to some of his grandchildren, even myself, how the Most High has healed us. And this man proceeded to tell me that he doesn't believe in all of that. He doesn't believe in the Bible. He believes that it's the white man's book. And he just said some things that just really kind of pricked my heart big time. Now, before we got into all of that, he had told me that the doctors had given him 5 years to live. They told him he'll be living for another 5 years or so. And I said, well, that number doesn't have to be 5 years. I said, they don't have a say in when you go. That's not their department. And I said, the Most High is able to heal you. He can. This is something he can do, and I believe he can do. And again, he just doubled down on his disbelief in the Most High, in the Bible. It's very interesting. And so I just kept it real with him the whole time. I kept it real with him about the history of our people in the Bible and all of this, and how, yes, things have been whitewashed and things have been tampered with and things have been destroyed. And I told him that we were the Israelites of the Bible. And when he said this, I was a little shocked and confused, because he doesn't believe in the Bible, but he believes that we are the Israelites. He believes that we are the ancient people. But he doesn't believe in the Bible. So he just believes that, yes, we are indeed the ancient people, but the Bible, he said, that's not our book. And so, again, I was confused and very deeply concerned about that and his rejection of the Most High. And as we were bringing our conversation to a close, he said, in all of my years, I have never had, because we talked about a lot of things. He said, in all of my years, I've never had a conversation on this level with any other human being. And he says, you, my daughter, are very, very brilliant. And I know you don't believe that I love you, but I do. And when we got off the phone, I reiterated that to him. I said, I love you, Dad, and I want you to be better. I want you to be better. And we just kind of, he was starting to get winded in his talking. And so we ended up getting off the phone. And that was the last time that I heard his voice. Okay. Now, a few weeks later, now mind you, he said the doctors gave him 5 years to live. A few weeks later, after that conversation, he went on into the hospital. And he was unable to speak. He could hear, but he was unable to speak. And so my little sister, when she would call from the hospital, she would tell me to just speak, and she had me on speakerphone. And, I would say whatever encouraging words that I could say to him. And during one of those times, I can hear him kind of like mumble in the background, but not really speaking, because he was unable to speak. So from that point, the last time I spoke with him was a few weeks after I did my video in April. I did the video at the end of March, okay, March 28th, and I ended up speaking with him in April. And so, fast forward. The doctors gave him 5 years, but after that conversation I had with him, I felt like that, and within all of that time, I want to say this too. My husband and I talked with my husband, and we were going to go and visit him. We were going to make a trip to visit him, just he and I, and that visit never took place. We never got a chance to. We never got the opportunity to. I remember when the call came in, and my husband answered the phone, and my little sister told me that my father had passed away. And the reason why I'm sharing this story is because something strange happened with me. Something very strange. I wish I could show his picture. I have his obituary here right now. But out of respect for my family in St. Louis, I don't want to show his picture. He's a very handsome man. A very handsome man. And I was really saddened that he really didn't believe in the Most High like that. Though that's what he told me. Even though he did grow up in the church. He just didn't believe in that at the point that I spoke with him. He believed that the Bible wasn't our book, and that all of this stuff was the white man stuff. Okay? But when my husband told me that my father passed away, something very strange happened. I didn't shed one tear. And to this day, I have not shed one tear. And I was very confused by that. And I've had many conversations with my husband about it. And I said, baby, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong. I said, I've cried over perfect strangers who have died. I've cried over enemies that have died. People that I don't even know. But I haven't shed one tear for this man. And it's not that like I told my father and I told my husband and my children, I made peace with my father before he passed away. I told him I loved him, and he told me he loved me. I remember I was talking to my older sister after he passed away because I didn't go to the funeral either. And I was wondering how she felt about me not going to the funeral. She was out of town on business, and she left her business trip to try to. She didn't make it in time, but she went there. And I asked her. I wanted to know how she felt about me not going, and I just kind of told her about the video that I did on March 28th. And what's really strange about the video I did on March 28th, where I was talking about the relationship that I didn't have with my father, some of the things that took place between he and various people and the kind of life he lived, there was a young woman who reached out to me on Facebook. She was faced with a dilemma. She had a sick father. And at the time, my father was still alive, right? And she wanted to know, she tagged a few people. She's like, I don't know what to do in this situation. She says, I didn't have a relationship with my father, but he is sick and now he wants me to take care of him. And so she was in the valley of decision at that point, right? And I had told her about this video, and I told her I'm going to think about uploading it, and I never uploaded it. But she asked me to months ago. And I just wasn't sure. And I think part of the reason why I didn't is because of my concern for my family back in St. Louis. But for me, this was my story and my life and my experience with this man. And I feel like I'm always concerning myself. And my older sister helped me to understand this. She said, we're always concerning ourselves about people who don't really are concerned about us. You know, and she was referencing the fact that we don't have on that side of the family, other than my sister. She keeps in touch. My younger sister, she keeps in touch. She keeps the relationship very, very active. We're her older sisters, and she's very loving towards us. She and her family have come and spent a great deal of time with us when we lived in Michigan and here. And so I love my little sister for that. But as far as everyone else, there's no real effort towards a relationship. And if they ever see this, you know, I love them too, just like I love my father. I love my aunts and my cousins and uncles. Both my grandparents are deceased now. Anyway, that's enough of that. But my older sister helped me to see that, you know, that's your story to tell. She had issues as well, where she actually left Michigan before my father passed away. She went to go and talk to him. She confronted him about our relationship, or her relationship with him. She confronted him. She said she had to get that off of her chest. And I guess I feel like I had already did that when I went down at age 19, and the Most High showed me that he was really spiritually a child, right? But what I wanted to say in all of this is that when I think of the lies and deception of this world and all of the things that are taking place, the things that we've been spoon-fed, all of this brought my father to the point where he just didn't believe, right? And I'm wondering if when we talked and he was able to speak with me, and we pretty much just kind of just ironed everything out, and I left him in shalom, in peace, right? He had a decision to make, because I told him that Yah is able to forgive him for his sins. Yah is able to heal him of his affliction. None of that was accepted. Although we enjoyed the conversation, we made peace in all of this. He said his piece, I said mine. He just didn't accept all of the other stuff. And he said he's not afraid of death. He's not afraid to die. And he didn't believe in heaven or hell or any of that. And I think a lot of that affected my decision to travel to go and see him. Me and my husband had talked about going to see him, but when he just pretty much said he don't believe, I felt like, what was my mission there then? There was no real effort at all to have a relationship with us. And even during the course of his funeral, there was a little rigmarole that my little sister had to iron out. There was someone that he had in his life that didn't want my name in the obituary, a person who didn't even know me. And when my little sister was so hurt by all of that, she was talking about how this person didn't want specifically my name in the obituary. And I told my little sister, I said, don't fret over that. I said, please don't fret over that. I said, I'm a grown woman. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm past all of that. I have children. I have a husband. I have a life. And our dad is gone. We made our peace before he passed away. Whoever this person was, they don't have a say in whose DNA is in my body anyway. I'm past all of that, so don't worry about it. She sent me a copy of the obituary, and my name is in there. All of his children, all of his grandchildren, all of our names are in there. You know, and the fact that this person didn't want it in there, I said, that's just another thing that the enemy is using to try to taunt me and try to rehash some pain that I had from childhood. But in all of that, I said, well, it's no need for me to go to St. Louis to just view a body. And I asked my husband, I said, do you think that's cold? I said, I do love him. I did love my father. And I made peace with him before he passed away. And I said, I just don't know how to feel about all of this. The fact that I didn't cry, and I have yet to cry. My mom cried, even though I shared the testimony of how I don't even know how and why I'm here, because this man hit my mom upside the head with a baseball bat. Most women would have left after that. So the Most High had a reason and a purpose for me being here. And I told him, for that, I honor you and I honor my mother. Because it was your union that brought me here. It is what it is. It is what it is. He's gone now, and I felt very strange. This man and my mother, they are the reason why I'm here. Now, I want you all to understand something. My father, too, was a very smart man. I've talked to a lot of people about him. He had a lot of things going on in his life, a lot of things. But he was a very smart man, and I've always known that. And we just didn't have a relationship. It is what it is, and now it's gone. We will never have a relationship. But I can't help but wonder if the lies of Christianity, I know they did. They tarnished this man deeply. They tarnished him deeply. His perception about life was deeply tarnished. And any of my family seeing this is my story to tell. I appreciate my older sister for saying to me that I can talk about this. This is my story to tell. I'm not going into any details about nothing that he has done, but our lack of a relationship. But the fact that they were giving him 5 more years and he didn't even live 5 more months. I said he had a choice and a decision to make. And he didn't make the right decision. We spoke, and then he was unable to speak after that. But that time has passed now. And when I think of the sickness that took him out of here, it was cancer. There are a lot of people with cancer, dying of cancer. I know a lot of people personally, friends, people that we know in the truth. Just a number of people. I feel like it's an attack on the body. I see sickness different. I don't see it as something that the medical establishment can deal with. I see it as an attack on the body, a demonic attack, a demonic attack, for various reasons. But I'm one of those who believe that the Most High is able to heal us of sickness and disease. And this man, my father, rejected that. What I want to do, family, is I want to pray that the Most High will begin to open the eyes of his people so they can understand the lies and the deception of history. We have all been deeply tarnished by the lies of history. Deeply tarnished. To the point where we are rejecting our own history. Our own history book is being rejected because of the lies and the deception. It is time for us to realize that we are surrounded by deceptions. And we get caught up in this stuff. We get so caught up in the deceptions that we are not dealing with the fact that there are people dying and losing their souls over the things that we've been lied to about. You have people who don't want to believe in nothing. And you have those who believe that if we rise in our own power, that we will somehow escape the clutches of white supremacy. We haven't been able to do it for centuries. And so it's delusional to think that all of a sudden we're all going to click with one mind and be on one accord and be freed from our present situation. Without divine intervention, we are finished. This man was promised or given 5 more years by the same establishment that manufactures disease. He didn't even make it 5 more months. Oftentimes I think and I meditate And I try to figure out why I was unable to cry. And it's not that I don't feel sorrow, family. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I do feel sorrow because this is a man who lost his way for a number of reasons in his life. And because he lost his way, he rejected the truth. And we didn't have a relationship. I don't feel slighted though, because in all of this, even though we did have a stepfather, I had a relationship with Abba Yah, my Heavenly Father, and it's still very strong. And I feel like He was the Father that raised me. I feel like the Most High is the Father that raised me. I give Him all the praise, glory, and honor for the person that you see sitting here today. So, this chapter is closed now. And I am redirecting. Shalom, family.